Andy Carlson here for the Purple for the Win podcast, dedicated to the pain and pleasure that is the Minnesota Vikings and baby. 1500 ESPN has seen it fit to bring us into the sphere this year, so we'll be doing 3 shows a week, talking Vikings, have a car wash of fantastic guests, talk at length about the backup tight end situation. And remember, everyone's middle name is Jerome. It's going to be a lot of fun, or terrible. It'll be one of the two. Get it on the 1500 and Podcast One app or on iTunes or at purpleftw.com. Let's go.
And whose team is this? Is this your team or is this your daddy's team?
Thanks for listening to the Dad Mode Podcast, common sense parenting in a politically correct world. Here's your host, Andy Carlson.
Welcome back to the Dad Mode Podcast, common sense parenting in a politically correct world. I'm your host, Andy Carlson, at Andy Carlson Show on the Twitter machine. I'm a father. I have no idea what I'm doing, but you and either they're chiefy, so let's try and learn something together today. Website is dadmodepod.com. Twitter at dadmodepod, or just use hashtag dadmode. Today, Uncle Nick, follow him on Twitter at Nickason, is with me. Nick, how's it going?
Going good, Andy. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. We're full of chicken Alfredo and tiramisu, so it's hard to complain.
Yeah, it was all really good. Andy knows how to make a good Alfredo.
Hey, because of my extensive Italian roots.
It was pretty cool when the microwave got possessed, though.
Yeah, it's one of those weird house things where it's like, now I do have to shell out $300 for a new microwave, because it's one of those above the range microwaves. Is not like your college dorm room, like 40-watt microwave. Yeah, I remember mine, the rotating tray like crapped out like after the first week. So then afterwards it was just like nuking Thunderdome, and you put a hot pocket in there, like half of it would get hot, the inside would be frozen, but still you're like, good enough. I gotta go to class. Okay. Or I gotta skip class. Oh, speaking of class, today's topic, talking about teachers. And I want to relate a story. One of my friends has a niece, and she was picking her up from first grade, I believe, and it was a whole meet and greet thing. And from what I know about her, my friends, that she's a nice person, the run-of-the-mill, nice, gentle soul. And then when they got home, the mom of the student got a call from the teacher saying that my friend had been very rude and mean-spirited towards her. And I'm just like, you know what? Teachers are so important, especially these formative years. But since we have a generation, a society of just soft, mentally soft, terrible people, and this is where it starts. It starts with a teacher. And like, yeah, sure, my friend might have said something sarcastic or snarky, but there's no way it could have warranted calling the parents and be like, oh Lord, oh dear Lord, did you know what your she-devil sister said to me? She gave me the vapors.
That's interesting. Wow, I never knew they would.
Because A, it promotes snitching culture, even though that's perfectly fine. Or is it? And B, it teaches the kid, because, Nick, move your mic closer to your mouth, because it's going to teach the kid that whenever you have conflict, you just go run and tell mommy, or you run and tell whoever, or it's going to, here's the thing too. When, say, this little girl gets into an argument or something on the playground, as kids are wont to do, she's going to go to the teacher and be like, hey teacher, Alicia pushed me down on the playground, and the teacher's going to be like, deal with the conflict yourself. It'd be like, what a hypocrite.
This is such a... I've never heard of a bad situation with a teacher. That's a very interesting tale. Growing up, I adored all my teachers for the most part. Mm-hmm. And, for like my nieces growing up, it's one of the first adults outside of like family or friends that that children look up to. Especially these like early ages of going to school.
And with teachers like this, now it could have been innocuous. It could have been something like, I just thought you should know that your sister was a little rude picking her up. And even if it was just that, what is the point? You're probably, like, your flight hours, your man hours with this person who you perceive as rude over the next 9 months may be what? 30 minutes total as they're picking her up, as they're dropping her off? Who really cares? But now you've made it a thing. And see, most people would just shrug it off and be like, oh, that person was kind of a bitch. And then just move on. You don't wallow in it. And watch this teacher. She's going to take a personal day tomorrow. Be like, I feel threatened. I need to go to my safe space. I need to just, I need to talk this out with my mom. And just like, you're supposed to be teaching these children, well, besides the education, count, colors, that whole thing. You're supposed to be teaching these children personal responsibility of, sticks and stones may break my bones, the words never hurt me. No, words do hurt you. And then you go tell on someone, and then you have to take a day off. This is what these kids are learning.
Take a day off, though.
Yeah.
I don't, this could be when it's not like us growing up in the 90s. I mean, I think this might be how the culture is going to change now.
And you see it with them removing dodgeball, right? You can't play dodgeball anymore because it potentially ostracizes the kids who aren't very good at it. Well, doesn't it teach the kids who you don't have to play dodgeball? Like, it's not required. Like, if it's on the playground, you don't have to go play. I get it if it's a FIAD class. You do kind of have to play. But doesn't that incentivize the kid who's kind of bad at it to get better so he can actually play, so he can actually stay in the game a little bit longer? What's wrong with that?
You could argue it.
Besides them all ganging up on the fat kid, I get it.
I was a fat kid.
But at least your pain was short-lived.
It was short-lived, and I did play it. I mean, but you can do the argument vice versa. I mean, what if there's like really hard tests coming up, and all the smart kids like, ooh, that alienates all the dumb kids.
Get rid of testing. Actually, all standardized testing is dumb anyway, especially since it scores can be tied to teacher performance-based pay. So just incentivize the teachers to cheat. There's a whole chapter in Freakonomics about this.
To cheat. Interesting.
Yeah. Where it's like, you know the answers beforehand, or it's going to be covered in the thing. So you don't tell the children what's going to be on the test. Or in some of the cases, they're just blatant rampant cheating. And see, I actually don't fault the teachers because we're human beings. If there's an opportunity to cheat for monetary gain or personal gain, you're going to do it. Sorry. And everyone talks about how teachers are it's a noble profession. It absolutely is. Like, we're friends with a number of teachers who are very good at their job, but I don't know, man. I don't know. Some teachers are bad. Like, who's your worst teacher that you've ever had?
I'm thinking of 5th grade, Miss Crockett.
Mm-hmm.
Solely on the fact that she had a pet tarantula in the effing room.
Mm-hmm.
And no, you should not have spiders in the room.
Well, that makes her the worst? Oh, just because you have a thing with spiders.
I mean, I'll be honest. I've never had a bad experience with any of my teachers. High school, I do remember a gym teacher who flipped out on me because he thought I was talking about him behind his back for some reason. And if
Man, you talking shit about me, I say?
And if you know me and who I am, I don't talk crap about anyone. And he shouted me in the locker room, Are you saying so and so about me? I'm like, no. I'm like, what? It was just calling me out on nothing because I was walking the hall with a friend, talking to a friend about something that had nothing to do with a teacher.
Heard it from a friend who.
It was in that.
Heard it from a friend who.
I'll always remember that. It was just the most random I got
shit
shouted
about the fire teacher
for doing nothing wrong. It was insane.
You take it on the run, Nickerson. Yeah. My two worst teachers were both in high school. One was we'll call him Tom, right? It's not Tom Kirby, but his actual name is Tom.
I do, Tom.
All right. So the guy's name is Tom Vicks. He was the science teacher, quote unquote, and also the basketball coach, except he's more the basketball coach. And his science classes were the dumbest. It was absolutely atrocious. Like this passes for high school level education. Like all the curriculum was you just write down whatever was from the book, and the tests really didn't matter, and it was frankly pretty pathetic. And as a kid who had an interest in sciences, I kind of put a damper on it because just like, man, every day we're coming in, we're wasting an hour and a half of our time just kind of sitting here while you doodle on the computer looking at Minnesota State High School League standings. Cool, awesome, neat. And other teacher was a guy that I really liked as a person. We'll call him Bob. But as a teacher, he was one of those that already had tenure, was about 2 years away from retirement, and everything was just whatever. And this is when the internet was first starting to become a thing. And I don't think we had Wikipedia yet, but we were just copying and pasting stuff from Encarta.
Oh, Encarta, Encyclopedia
Yeah.
Encarta. Oh my god.
Yeah, and then handing in his reports, and we get an A. It's like it was equally as dumb as the Tom Science class, but it was almost more offensive because we got away with it. In both instances. Yeah. And it's funny that I feel like we talked about in previous episodes about helicopter parents, and there's a cartoon out there that was like 1950s. How do you a parent and a report card, and she's yelling at the kid, how do you explain these grades? And the teacher's in the background like, yeah. And then the other panel is 2010, and the parent is showing the report card to the teacher, how do you explain these grades? And the kid's like behind her like, yeah.
Being smug.
Yeah. And I get it. And I do hold these teachers to a high standard, and I also want this is like one of the reasons why we live in the suburbs, or we live in an area that has a good public school system, because our kids are going to go to public school, and there's a reason why we bought a place that has high ratings in elementary and middle school and high school, and the area that we live in absolutely does. So hopefully everything doesn't go to shit. Like hopefully the neighborhood doesn't turn all ghetto and all the teachers flee, and then we got all red dots for our schools on Zillow. Hopefully that's not the case. But with the better teachers, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. And also, Muggsy be like, the teacher was mean to me because she was making me, work and do these things. She's testing me. That's what she's supposed to do. Sorry.
I mean, we can eventually talk. I mean, like,
But I need to find out who this other teacher is, so avoid her, and also give her bad grades on Rate My Prof. I don't think they do that for teachers.
I don't think they do that for teachers either. You gotta. I mean, I don't know any of the facts of like the school system and how like finances and like stuff works. I mean, you hear horror stories of like, overcrowdings in schools, underfunding and stuff, and like, there's a lot of good teachers, but there's a lot of bad ones that come in, and I'm scared of schools right now. I live in the St. Paul area, and St. Paul's public schools, they've been in the news recently with
For what?
for kids beating up teachers, like they're getting assaulted, and I know for a dad mode thing where I like talking more about younger kids. I think that's a more topical thing to talk about, like the young. But I mean, like when your kid gets into high school and kids are getting big nowadays. Yep. I mean, these high school kids are adult-sized people, and they're gonna throw a punch. And if you're raised in, these bad areas and like go to these schools and
cut USA.
I mean, as someone who went to Winona State to want to be a teacher. I mean.
Yeah. Oh, you actually wanted to be a teacher?
I went down there for math education. Yeah.
Oh, what the hell?
Yeah,
Two things I'd never think about you: math and education.
not good, and didn't care as much. Not just in teachers. I love teachers. It's scary from a teacher's perspective. I'd be terrified if.
Wait, you couldn't get into the teaching program at Winona State? Well, you didn't have a pulse?
There was a semester. I just really did. Nick had another episode. Nick had his bad times when Winona was like,
Bad good times, bad times. And
I think I met you at the exact same.
Probably. It's weird how those things work out. And with teachers, it is kind of a crapshoot because you do have the teachers that are in it for the absolute right reasons. They want to educate the next generation. They do a great job of it. Others do it just because they're waiting to get their book deal. Like English professor or English teachers, it's just like, all right, kids. So this is how you put together a sentence and read 400 pages and come back tomorrow. We'll talk about it. And it's just like this person's sitting at home. It's like, all right, come on, baby. I know that my novel's taking off. I mean, J.K. Rowling is bankrupt before she wrote Harry Potter and shit. That person is not in it for the right reason. But just thinking about teachers that challenged me or I had difficulty with, not like personally, but just scholastically. I want those kinds of teachers for Muggsy because looking back now, those are the teachers that you learn the most from. And the one I learned most from his name was Craig Colbinson, and he was an agriculture and like sort of shop industrial type teacher, which is kind of odd because I'm neither of those things. But the class I took from him was electricity, and you learn like a lot of hands-on, tactile stuff about wiring an outlet and two-pole switch and all that other stuff. And he was a tough grader. Like everything had to be perfect. And I'd known a little bit about electricity from my grandpa, who was an electrician. So I was like, and I thought I was pretty good. I came in all cocky and stuff like, man, I could do this. I've been doing four-way switches since you were born, man. GFCI? I got a tattoo of a GFCI. And admittedly, I did some shoddy work and kind of cutting corners and stuff because I could slide through this. But he's just like, no, the cable ties not 6 inches not within 6 inches of the box. You got too much wire in here. Redo it all again, or you get a D. I'm just like, man, what the hell's going on here? But he wasn't being a dick. He was trying to get you to do it right. And eventually, I did do it right. I took a couple other classes with him. It's kind of the same thing. And it's a lot of the kids nowadays would be that and be like, that is hate speech. That him saying that my cable strap is not within 6 inches of the box is judging me. And my mommy and my daddy have told me that that is wrong. And they will report that teacher's ass, and then he will get suspended. And it might be hyperbolic, but it's not too far from the truth. It is.
Because, as I said, that our culture is changing. Us being we're adults now, we're gonna start raising kids. I might have to raise kids someday soon. It's going. Who knows what that culture is going to be like compared to how we were, and it's like going into the unknown. I don't know.
My other favorite teacher was named Jim Reinhardt, and he was a math teacher and also was a football coach and also was a middle school basketball coach. So I've had him at all those different levels. And he's this kind of, personally, he's got a really good sense of humor and a really nice guy. As a teacher and a coach, a little gruff, a little rough around the edges, a little straightforward, but in football and math and basketball, I learned so much about the value of hard work and doing it right the first time. And nowadays, those things don't really fly. Like in sports even, like a coach has to be, hey, buddy, how about you, how about you do a little bit better in the next play? As opposed to, Carlson, get your head out of your ass and seal the edge. Yeah. Like they can't... You can't talk to kids anymore in a classroom setting or on an athletic field anymore. And I get it. It is sort of evolving. Like, it can't be like Bear Bryant and the Junction Boys down at Texas A&M having training camp with no water and having them beat the shit out of each other for like 4 hours a day. I get that. I get that we're moving away from boot camp style stuff, but it's softening.
You can't raise a bunch of softies. I mean... No, it sounds...
Well, it's weird because every single one of those guys, whether it be from hard coaching or a difficult teacher or like Army-style boot camp like back in the day, like Full Metal Jacket type style, they never had any problems with discipline or being mentally tough. But all of these kids now with the helicopter parents and the little kid gloves and then the teachers getting suspended because they told the kid to do some homework, those are the ones that have the... conflict issues. They're the ones that have the anxiety. They're the ones who can't deal with their problems, so they have to retreat to a safe space. And I feel like that is a important skill that these kids are not learning in school or in life because we don't let them.
I wonder why it changed that way.
Well,
I mean,
I think it all starts with spanking. Because everything goes back to spanking, right?
of course.
Yeah, but it's weird as it sounds. I kind of want Muggsy to deal with a bully, like when she and oh, by the way, the term bullying has become so bastardized that it's almost meaningless now. Like my definition of a bully is a person who has either physical or financial or blah 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 power over another person and then use that to terrorize the weaker person. Now, it could be a third grader terrorizing a kindergartner, it could be Donald Trump terrorizing the tenants of his rental properties, sure, etc. But there's so many things that go on that is just people being an asshole and they just call it bullying. Like do you remember the Jeans Gate thing with Janice Shortall and that Star Tribune?
Oh, yes.
Writer in the was her name CJ? Who whatever J. Don't really care. I don't know who this person was or is, and I don't really care. But everyone's like, CJ is bullying Janice Shortall. How dare she? It's like, no, CJ was just being an asshole. Sorry, that's not bullying. But everything has become bullying. It's become so co-opted that it's meaningless now. Like everyone calls everything bullying.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm probably bullying you by taking up all the airtime.
And
How dare he?
he's raising his voice at me, which I'm not
And
comfortable
a
with.
fist.
And
But as weird as it sounds, because you hear it all the time about kids that are maybe having a hard time, or don't have any friends, or dealing with a difficult kid at school, and then they just transfer. And I understand that sometimes that's that's what you have to do for the benefit of the kid, but that has to be a last resort because as weird as it sounds, I kind of want Muggsy to have to deal with a bully or a mean girl or a bitch, and because you have to deal with these problems. Because when you get into the real world, whether it be with relationships or in the workplace or anything like that, you have to deal with difficult people. Sorry, and that is an important skill to learn. I would actually put, Muggsy learning to graph on a TI-86 calculator or learning how to deal with assholes and difficult people. I'm going to choose the latter. Sorry.
that makes sense. No, I totally agree.
Because you know how many times since 10th grade math I have graphed on a TI-86 calculator?
I'm thinking
0.
quite a bit. Oh, okay. Sorry, the answer was wait. Because I think so with bullying, I mean, there are so many thin, fine lines that it's so blurred right now. Because while because I always picture. Do you ever see the movie The Kid with Bruce Willis and?
No.
I don't remember who effing played the kid, but it was about Okay, spoiler alert. It was about the kid. Towards the end, Bruce Willis, who's
It's not the biopic of Kevin Garnett.
No, it's not the
Okay.
biopic. Bruce Willis is trying to tell his kid self to stand up to a bully and to fight back, which is to me I think that's fine. But in the story, what happens is that as a kid he got in trouble for it, and I think that's a lot of people have different thoughts and opinions on how to deal with bullying. I mean, do you stand up to the bully and fight back? Do you, do you report it? I mean, there's a lot of different people have a lot of different views on that, and I think it's so blurred on what's the right answer, what's the right call. I mean, because so many situations are a little bit different, and I think they all need their own way to deal with things.
Yeah. Because it's one thing if you got a fourth grader just beating the shit out of your first grader like every single day and just like being terrible like that. That's one thing. But maybe slightly pushing, maybe just talking down, maybe just talking some shit. That's something that, hey, you got to deal with. And I feel like that is part of childhood. And I think it sends a bad message when you either transfer the kid out of the school and go to a different school where there's still going to be the same problems, probably, and just teaching that, hey, if you have a problem, if you have a conflict, just run away. Or, in the same vein, just going and tattling to the teacher, because sometimes the teacher, like we talked about earlier, isn't going to care, or be like, deal with it, which I'll actually give that teacher a gold star. The teacher from the beginning of the story, we'll call her teacher, I don't know, what's kind of a...
Barb.
No, Barb would kick some ass. Barb would take her earrings out and take off her flats and start whipping some
Oh my
ass.
God, Evan on Barb. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Trying to think of a soft name. I will think of it. But I lost my train of thought. But you want to teach these kids that, hey, sometimes life sucks. Sometimes you have to suck it up. And, hey, you know what? Sometimes bullies aren't all they're cracked up to be. And sometimes that bully deserves to be punched in the face. And watch. And then, while my kid is now the bully, and now it's my kid getting suspended from school. Yeah, trust me. Walking into that principal's office that day, if like some fourth grader's been giving Muggsy shit for like 3 months, and then Muggsy finally bops her in the face, and then little Angela's mom calls the principal. Yeah, me coming to the office. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun, isn't it? It's gonna be great.
What if Muggsy is the bully?
That would be.
We treat the situation differently. If your kid is the one who's the instigator, the one who.
Well, it's going to be kind of interesting because it's very rare the diminutive person is the bully, unless it's like Al Capone, I guess, or Napoleon. Sure, but if Muggsy has the personality and is like the overbearing type, you'll just sit her down and be like, "Hey, stop being a dick." Because you know what? These people are going to be the same size as you one day. These people are going to work with you. These people might be your bosses someday. So how about you get rid of this little air of superiority? Or we'll send you to boarding school. Waterboarding school.
Can I ask you a quick question about teaching?
Yep.
Because we're talking about public schools.
I should be a teacher. Sorry, God.
We were talking about public schools earlier. What are your thoughts on private schools and teaching in general with that? I mean, obviously, we've talked about, Minnesota, a lot of good public schools in Minnesota. Do you think things are different in the private schools?
It's not always a case of you get what you pay for. And there's some private schools that are absolutely worth the money, some that are not. I think my overarching concern is the self-selecting pool of students. And a lot of times the kids are going to be coming from money, and sometimes there's an air of superiority when it comes to that way. And I think that's almost as bad as your kid growing up to be a pussy as being a rich pussy. One that just feels like the world needs to bow down to them. Everything is handed to them. They never need to work. There's never any conflict in their life. And it's just like, it's kind of like the kid that runs away from his problems. These kids, once they get out into the real world, or mommy and daddy pass away and the trust fund is broken up because they had a crooked lawyer who put everything in his name, and they're just like, oh, now what? Now you don't have any friends because the only friends that are around you were the rich kids or the ones that are hangers-on because you were rich. Now they are all gone because they don't want to hang out with your broke ass. And now what? Now you're just a broke dick.
I'm speechless.
But private school, sure. That's like, if we can afford, well, we will be able to afford to put Muggsy into like De La Salle or Cretan Durham Hall or something like that. Sure. But is De La Salle a private school?
Yes.
It's got to be, right?
Yeah, my cousin went there.
Oh. Is he a dick?
No, they're two lovely young ladies who...
Answer the question. Oh, wait, you did? No. All right, so that's teachers, education, quasi, kind of. And as always, it just kind of devolved into, hey, once you learn how to deal with your problems, then be an adult. Because that's everything that we're leading up to with education, aren't we? It's not all about colors and learning about everyone is special and everything is awesome. No. Sometimes everything is not awesome. Sometimes things are terrible. A lot of the times things are great. And I would love Muggsy to have a perspective that towards the positive, the glass is half full, preferably of whiskey, but also not be the type that is so naive to saying like everybody is trustworthy, everything is fantastic, we're all equal. Well, we all are equal. I should take that back. We can add that up. But just getting kids ready for the world and having the right mindset for it, and just bringing it back full circle to this teacher who is obviously damaged. Obviously something went wrong with her parents or her education that says, hey, if someone is kind of a dick to you, go rat them out and don't deal with it head on. Because you know what the teacher should have done? If my friend was truly being a dick or kind of bitchy, I'd just be like, hey, shut it down, small fry. Hey, it's like you're her mom. Get out of here, Aunt Gina. Hit the bricks. Got my classroom. I run this bitch.
Before we go, did this just happen?
Yeah, it happened today.
So it'd be like, welcome to first week of school, bitches.
Welcome to Thunderdome, bitch.
Good impression on the first couple weeks of school.
Yeah. But
Interesting.
it could be a long year. And guess what? That soft-minded individual gets 30 kids every single year to brainwash. Fantastic. What's coming up from you, Nick? Nick is Son podcast.
I've been pretty busy. I gotta get back to recording. The Emmy Awards are this weekend. There was an Emmy Awards actually last weekend too, but I wanna
Daytime Emmys?
The Creative Arts Emmy Awards. So I know that like all the small fries on all like I think creative writing and stuff for the like cable shows. I think they all got like awarded at a non-televised thing. But the primetime Emmy Awards, the big one for all the biggest shows on TV, cable, and internet are all up for awards. I believe this Sunday night, which kind of we have something else going on Sunday night, a little Vikings Packers game. We'll see if I can watch both at the same time.
That sounds like a bag of fun. We're on Sunday. We're doing Thanksgiving September, and I got a 30-pound turkey and hang out with Ashley and a bunch of other friends and kids and whatnot. And it's kind of nice having the Vikings play in prime time because it frees up your afternoon. You can hang out with people, actually be kind of social, have sweat my fantasy teams, my terrible fantasy team. God, I hate my team so bad. Why is Todd Gurley so terrible? Well, I get he's on a bad team, but come on, man.
It was week 1. You gotta give him time.
It's over. I'm 0-1, Nick. It's over. Not going to repeat as champion. Champion.
You probably will not, though.
Fine. This show is available on iTunes. Follow us on Twitter at DadMoPod or me at Andy Carlson Show. Nick at Nick is Son. Our website is dadmopod.com. Ooh, we're also on Stitcher and iHeart. If that strikes your fancy. Do it up. But until next time, be a man, be a father, go dad mode, and don't suck.
Think the episode you just heard is worth $1? Well, send it our way. Visit dadmodepod.com/support to find out how. Be a man, be a father. Go dad mode. The music is created and produced by Deeb. To hear more of his tracks, visit soundcloud.com/Deeb.
Hey everyone, it's me, Nick is Son, aka Uncle Nick, co-host of the Dad Mode podcast. Before we begin the show, I thought I'd let you guys know about a side project I'm working on called the Nick is Son podcast. That's right, I am hosting my own podcast where I talk about the latest news in the entertainment world. From movies, television, music, anything pop culture, I talk about it on my show. So please check me out, the Nick is Son podcast. We air new episodes every Wednesday. Now, on with the show.